Sarah and Alex found themselves ensnared in an anomaly masquerading as a suburban utopia. "I'm certain we've taken a wrong turn somewhere," Sarah murmured, her voice laced with unease as they meandered through the labyrinth of identical homes. The neighborhood stretched infinitely, a maddening array of cloned houses, each mirroring the next with eerie precision. The sky, a canvas of perpetual twilight, cast a pallid glow over the scene, devoid of life, devoid of sound. They pulled over, the car idling as if hesitant to proceed. "Check the map again?" Sarah suggested, her fingers tapping rhythmically on the steering wheel. Alex complied, his phone illuminating their puzzled faces. However, the digital map betrayed their reality, displaying an empty void where streets should have been. "It's like we've fallen off the map," he said, a hint of fear creeping into his voice. The air grew colder, the silence thicker. Every attempt to navigate the GPS only plunged them deeper into confusion, their location flickering between the unknown and the impossible. The houses, though superficially flawless, harbored a darkness, windows like eyes that refused to meet theirs, doors that seemed to whisper secrets. "Let's ask Jenna," Sarah proposed, a note of desperation in her voice. Yet Alex's call to Jenna, meant to guide them, went unanswered, swallowed by the void that enveloped them. Driven by a mix of determination and dread, they ventured further into the heart of this bewildering suburb. Streets twisted upon themselves, logic and physics bending in ways that made Sarah's stomach churn. A dead end loomed ahead, its presence as inexplicable as it was impossible. As they approached, the world around them began to warp, the houses distorting into grotesque caricatures of domesticity. Doors hung ajar, leading to nowhere, windows peered into abysses, gardens grew inwards, their flora a nightmare of geometry. A sign, devoid of markings, yet emanating an ominous aura, beckoned them down a path that was not there moments before. Compelled by a force they could not resist, they followed, their car moving as if pulled by invisible strings. The further they drove, the more the suburb unraveled, revealing its true nature, a maze designed to entrap, to confuse, to consume. The sky turned a deep crimson, the air charged with static as if a storm brewed just beyond perception. Then, amidst the surreal landscape, a figure appeared. Not human, not quite, a patchwork of shadow and light, its form shifting, blurring the line between real and imagined. It stood before a house unlike any other, its architecture a chaos of angles and dimensions that defied understanding. "This is it," Alex said, his voice a mere whisper, the heart of the anomaly. The figure beckoned, its movements echoing in the stillness, a siren call to the unknown. They knew they should flee, return to the car, escape this madness. Yet something pulled at their very souls, a desire to uncover the truth, to confront the darkness at the core of this endless suburb. As they stepped towards the figure, the world seemed to hold its breath. The boundary between reality and nightmare blurred, each step bringing them closer to answers, or perhaps to oblivion. The figure waited, a sentinel at the threshold of revelations untold, its intentions obscured by the twilight. Sarah and Alex, hand in hand, crossed that threshold, leaving behind the world they knew for a realm of infinite possibilities and infinite terrors. The story does not end here, for their journey into the heart of the anomaly has only just begun. What lies beyond is a tale of discovery, of horror, and of the unbreakable human spirit confronting the unknown. As I drifted off, the world outside faded into a dreamless void, offering a brief reprieve from the relentless maze of suburban horror. But sleep, no matter how deep, couldn't hold back the tide of dread for long. My eyes flickered open to the same overcast gray, the illusion of safety shattered as reality seeped back in. Dave's grip on the steering wheel had tightened, his knuckles white, a visible testament to the tension that hung between us like a thick fog. "I think I found something," he said, his voice a mix of hope and desperation. He pointed to a house that seemed no different from the countless others we'd passed, except for one detail. A series of crude markings, scratched into the paint of the mailbox. It looked like a set of directions, arrows twisting and turning in a chaotic dance. Without a word, we decided to follow them. What else could we do? Each turn took us deeper into the neighborhood, the houses blurring into a monotonous stream of sameness. But as we drove, a subtle change began to take root. The houses, they started to look older, weathered by time, their perfect facades cracking and peeling under the weight of years. It was as if we were traveling backwards through time, witnessing the decay of a place forgotten by the world. And then we saw it. A house that stood out not because of its condition, but because it was completely upside down. The roof planted firmly on the ground, the front door suspended in the air, windows gazing down at the grass like eyes full of confusion. It was an impossibility, a defiance of physics and reason. We stopped the car, the silence between us heavy. "This has to be a clue, right?" Dave ventured, more a question than a statement. Before I could respond, the ground beneath us began to vibrate, a low rumble growing in intensity until the car shook with the force of it. From the corner of my eye, I saw the upside-down house quiver, its structure groaning under an unseen strain. Then, with a sound like the world itself splitting open, the house began to rise, lifted by forces we couldn't begin to comprehend. As it ascended, the ground where it had stood fell away, revealing a gaping maw that yawned wide, a tunnel stretching down into darkness. The rumbling ceased, replaced by a palpable silence that seemed to beckon us forward. Dave and I exchanged a glance, a silent agreement passing between us. This was no longer about finding Megan's house or escaping to the comfort of our own. It was about unraveling the mystery of this twisted suburbia, understanding its secrets, and perhaps finding a way out of its grasp. We left the car, our steps hesitant as we approached the edge of the abyss. The air was cooler here, tinged with the scent of earth and something else, something ancient. Peering into the darkness, we could just make out the glimmer of something far below, a faint light that promised answers, or perhaps deeper questions. With a shared nod, we stepped into the void, leaving behind the world we knew for the unknown depths below. As we descended, the light grew stronger, guiding us deeper into the heart of the mystery. The walls of the tunnel were lined with images, carvings that told stories of other times, other places. Scenes of celebration and despair, of communities thriving and then vanishing without a trace. And then abruptly, the tunnel ended, opening into a vast underground chamber lit by an ethereal glow. In the center, a structure unlike anything we'd ever seen, a tower of spiraling stone, its surface etched with symbols that seemed to pulse with an inner light. As we approached, the air hummed with energy, the symbols on the tower illuminating one by one, revealing a path upwards. It was clear what we had to do. Climbing the tower would reveal the truth of this place, offer a chance to break free from its endless loops and impossible geometries. We began our ascent, each step taking us closer to the answers we sought. The symbols under our hands felt warm, alive, as if the tower itself was aware of our presence. Upwards we climbed, into the heart of the mystery, driven by a need to understand, to escape, to find our way back to a world that made sense. But as we neared the top, a chilling realization dawned on us. What if understanding came at a price? What if the truth of this place was more than we could bear? We paused, our resolve wavering, the glow from above casting long shadows that seemed to whisper of secrets best left undiscovered. Yet we couldn't turn back. Not now. With a final glance at each other, we steeled ourselves for what lay ahead, the last few steps to the summit, and the truth waiting just out of reach. The journey was far from over, and the heart of the suburb's mystery was about to be unveiled. As Dave and I reached the summit of the spiraling tower, the glow intensified, coalescing into a blinding light that seemed to pierce through to the very essence of our beings. We shielded our eyes, stepping into the heart of the luminescence, and as our eyes adjusted, the world around us transformed. The light receded, revealing not the expected revelation of suburban mystery, but a vast, circular chamber, its walls lined with screens displaying countless suburban neighborhoods, each caught in various stages of surreal anomaly and impossible architecture. In the center of the chamber stood a console, alive with pulsating lights and streams of data scrolling in languages both familiar and utterly alien. A figure turned to greet us, its form human yet imbued with an otherworldly presence. "Welcome," it said, its voice echoing with the weight of untold ages. "You've ascended further than any before, driven by a desire to understand, to escape the loop." Dave and I exchanged bewildered looks, our questions tumbling out. "What is this place? Who are you?" The figure gestured to the screens. "This is the nexus of creation where realities are woven and worlds are birthed. I am the architect, the weaver of these tales. The suburb you sought to escape was my creation, a narrative labyrinth designed to challenge the boundaries of your reality." "But why? Why trap us in that nightmare?" I demanded, my voice a mixture of anger and awe. The architect's gaze softened. "Not to trap, but to test, to push the limits of human understanding and resilience. Your world, with all its certainty and predictability, often blinds you to the vast possibilities that lie beyond. This was an invitation to explore those possibilities, to question the nature of your reality." Dave stepped forward, skepticism etched on his face. "And what now? We just go back to our lives as if nothing happened." The architect moved to the console, its fingers dancing over the controls. "You have a choice. Return to your world with no memory of this place, or embrace the unknown and become architects of new realities yourselves." The offer hung in the air, a tantalizing crossroads that promised either the comfort of oblivion or the thrill of creation. Dave and I shared a long, searching look, the decision unspoken between us, and then without a word, we turned to the architect. "We choose to remember, to learn." A smile, if it could be called that, crossed the architect's features. "Very well. But remember, with great knowledge comes great responsibility. The fabric of reality is delicate. Shape it well." In an instant, the chamber and the architect faded, and we found ourselves standing on a familiar suburban street, the overcast sky now clear, the air fresh with the promise of dawn. But as we looked around, we saw the subtle differences. The houses no longer uniformly perfect, but imbued with character. The streets no longer looping into infinity, but leading to new, unexplored horizons. We set off down the street, not towards the life we knew, but into a future we were now empowered to shape. Behind us, the sun rose, casting long shadows that seemed to whisper of mysteries yet to be unraveled, of realities yet to be crafted. And in that moment, we understood. The suburb, the tower, the architect, it was all a crucible, forging us into something new. We were no longer mere inhabitants of our world, but its creators, gifted with the knowledge and power to explore the infinite tapestry of the universe. The story, it seemed, was far from over. But as we stepped into our new roles, one thing was certain. The boundaries of our reality were ours to redefine. And with each step, we were writing our own twist ending, not just to our story, but to the very concept of what it meant to live in a world bound only by the limits of our imagination. Thank you for listening to my channel.